Welcome to Psychic Holistic Spotlight of Rhode Island. I'm Kathy Costa, your host for today. We also have Josie Way and Patty McGarrahan also co-hosting with me as well. And we have a repeat guest talking about his latest book that he wrote, Always Connected for Those Who Have Lost Children by Joe Higgins. So we'll talk about that, the inspiration for the book and different aspects of the book as well too. It's a very interesting topic. That you can't talk about it enough, about the impact of the children passing away and the impact of the family and the loved ones of that child. So we're just going to get right into the first aspect of the of when the parents meet the children, when the parents have crossed over to after the children cross.
Yeah, a lot of the information I learned for this book, I actually learned it from the children who had passed over. Through some of the mediumship readings that I have given to the parents. And one of the ones was that a girl named Carla, and I think we talked about her in the first segment of this interview, and she had mentioned that when it's time for the parents to cross over, they'll be greeted with their children, whoever's passed, and if they want to, they will have the ability to live the entire life that they thought they had missed when the child had died on the earth plane. Meaning if the child died when she was like 13 years old, the parents will be able to experience her going to a prom, getting married, grandchildren, the whole 9 yards, terrible teens included. So everything, if they wish to do that. They don't have to, but they have that ability to live that with them. So I thought it was huge, and I said this is going to be in the book because people, one of the greatest thing is they believe that they've lost these opportunities when their children pass, that the child's never going to be able to experience motherhood and things like that, when in actuality they will, and you'll be with them if you wish to do it. Okay? So that's very important.
Yeah.
But they also said there's a flip side to it. If a parent commits suicide in order to be with that child, that meeting will be different. And the love connection will still be there. They will know each other. Everything will be, the perspectives will be expanded so you'll know why things happened for what particular reasons. I mean, there are many complex things that we won't always know.
Yeah.
But in that situation, you'll know the background, some of that situation. However, you won't be able to relive the missing years because by forcing yourself to go over there, you're going to meet your daughter the way she is, a perfect, spiritual being, and with the wisdom of maybe, an 80-year-old and more like a colleague than a child. So she'll recognize it. You'll feel that connection with your child. You'll know 100% it is, but the child will not act like that young child. It's going to act like the being that it is. So actually it could be, the mother could cross over and the child will actually be the mother and the mother will be the child. And the dynamics of that situation will change because the mother forced herself into that situation. So the kids wanted that to come through, and I thought it was extremely important, obviously, because unfortunately a lot of parents want to be with their children so bad that they do contemplate suicide. So the children were like, you will get to see us, just let it run out naturally, and you'll be together again sooner than you think. And we all know how short life is.
Yeah.
I thought that was really important from the book. It's very heavy, but it's really profound. And that's what has to be in there, And I also did a chapter on regular suicide, and stuff like that. And, there's a lot in our culture, there's a lot of different perspectives about something like that. And what the kids wanted to say, a lot of times when kids pass over through like addictions and things like that, sometimes they're by accident. So people think it might be suicide, and in actuality, it's not, They might have been just playing around and that happened and things like that. So it's not necessarily, every suicide is not necessarily a suicide.
Yeah.
And then of course there's the chemical imbalances in our human body and things
the mental
like
health
that.
issues,
Mental health issues,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah. So, and then some people, come here without all the tools that we are given when we come to this plane. Okay? And I had read a lady whose son Kevin came through and gave us a lot of good information in the book about different things. And he had passed through suicide. And he explained it to his mother is like, Mom, when I came here, I didn't bring all the tools I needed to be able to deal with life and to be able to function on this plane. He goes, Mom, I left all my tools in the toolbox in the truck. And that's the way he put it. It was like, I came without my tools, without my toolbox. I left it in the truck.
What's the reason for that?
Sometimes, so when they go back, they'll reevaluate their birth and incarnation and stuff, and they will absorb a lot of the tools that we come with to help us on this plane. Because sometimes they'll be so anxious to come, they'll be packing up, let's say, their backpack, and all of a sudden, oh yeah, let's go. And they come and they don't realize that some of the stuff they were supposed to come with, they forgot. And then all of a sudden, oh, I can do it. I don't need that. I can do it without it, right?
I know better.
You know, the same thing with a lot of times people will come through. I want to go and be an addict so I can teach people about compassion and about, how it can help. Anyone can be an addict. You don't have to be poor, you can be rich. That's what I'm going to do. Then they get here and they're like, oh man, I don't want to be an addict. This is crazy. So they realize they bit off more than they could chew.
Yeah.
The expression. So sometimes, and then the biological and the chemical stuff takes over the body.
Yeah.
And then they may pass because of suicide or through addiction.
Yeah.
Because it was overwhelming what they wanted to take on.
Now, I got told when I was very young, in fact, I told the minister and my Sunday school teacher, and kind of threw them off, that there was no hell and suicide and self-imposing your own death, accidental or true. You went on the first floor of heaven and went into the hospital, and they helped you realign your body. Is that similar to what you were talking about?
Yeah, it is. I mean, when they go back, you get the bigger perspective of what happened. And then you have, like a powwow with your guides and stuff like that, and they try to integrate a lot of these things that were missing when you incarnated. Some people say, oh, it's like a hospital. To me, it's more like a counseling. It's like being in school. Okay, when you don't want to be in school, you want to be out playing with the kids. And it's like, no, you're going to take driver's ed now on this beautiful sunny day. It's like, no, I want to be outside. It's like, no, sorry. So they have to learn a lot of things, the reasons why a particular thing happened.
To be reintegrated almost.
Right, exactly, to be reintegrated and just kind of retrained and just supported. A lot of love and support there.
Yeah,
and the kids will come through and they'll tell that to the parents. They don't want the parents to feel guilty about it.
Absolutely.
I've heard it said that it's like a rehab with the support and stuff.
Right, yeah, it's a rehab. They get an understanding of what happened and why. And then when Kevin came through, he said, Mom, I didn't come through with everything that I should have come through, to be able to handle these situations. It might be emotional reasons he couldn't handle it. He didn't bring certain abilities to activate certain, emotions as he got older. It might be, a whole different thing. Some people might. One of the great things when we come here, we bring with us is the ability to laugh. Okay, that's a natural ability we bring with us to help us through our different stages of growth over here. So we do have certain abilities that come with us that we're not aware of. Some are dormant, some come out later in life, and some of these people they don't have those, so they feel like they're stuck when they get here. And then once that happens, they isolate themselves, and then their perspective shrinks, and you get like that tunnel vision.
Yeah.
And the spiral starts.
Yeah.
And like I said, they're isolated, and then all of a sudden, then the body starts working against them. The chemicals in the brain and the thoughts and everything else that goes with it, and they just can't deal with it. And then they decide to go back, even though it's not an exit point. They decide to go back. Although sometimes exit points are worked into some of those passings, and people, think it's a suicide. It's like the people that OD by accident, and it's not a suicide, but they're all clumped together. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, okay, you're 26, you're on drugs and you died, so it was a suicide. You know what I mean? It's more complex It's not always what it looks like or what it seems. So,
Now, have you had any children that have come through, because I've had it happen like a handful of times to me, that were actually upper level souls trying to help some of their soul group move forward faster, that took longer and came through, so they were only destined to be here a very short time?
yeah, a lot of times they just come through in the soul group for one particular reason, to help a group. Might be a family, might be certain individual people, to have them have experiences. Most of the kids that do leave early are teachers.
Yep.
They're teachers. They're not, they're not necessarily here to learn certain things, but they're more teachers. They're creating opportunities for everyone around them for their growth. That's why they're like usually advanced souls.
Yep. And I find that with Down syndrome children.
Yeah.
Down syndrome children, the energy around them, to the point where if I had stayed married to husband number one, I was going to adopt a Down syndrome girl. And I was so attached to their energy, and it's just because it's such a high level energy. Sure. They're the happiest kids in the park, but their families have to learn a lot of tools and do a lot of learning. And I've had 4 or 5 incidents that happened, and one that was really fun was, well, fun as fun can be if you lose a child, but I gave a reading to someone from India, and the mother got a reading from a medium in India, and both of them came through the 5th level soul, and I didn't know it's a huge honor that a soul came down to help the rest of the group move forward.
A lot of our guides and loved ones can help us from where they are. They can't make decisions for us, but they can kind of lean us in a certain way. I had given a reading to a man who's took care of his younger brother, who was bedbound, and he had, I don't know if he had cerebral palsy or something, but he was non-communicative, and the brother took care of him for years until the boy passed, I think when he was like 9 or 10 or something like that, and the boy came through. And he wanted to come through just to thank his brother for taking care of him. And it was the first time I had brought through a child. And the child was disabled. And the love that came through the child, that it came through me, brought me to tears. It was so strong and so pure that it just, I was like a baby, just crying like a baby. It was just, that's one of the great things about doing mediumship and stuff like that, is sometimes when the messages come through, we get some of that feeling.
So beautiful.
And we get to hold on to some of that feeling.
Yeah, I still have a hard time though not crying though when they give the love through.
Right.
Yeah,
Because you're picking it up.
yeah.
Right, you're picking it up.
Yeah.
So when this child did it, I was like, wow. I was like blown away.
Yeah.
And and he just wanted, the boy wanted to come through to say hi to the brother. So, sometimes they'll do that. They'll just want to come through and show a sign that they're still around, to give them encouragement. It's not over. You have your life lessons to learn. It continues. You're going to be teaching other people. You might not realize it, but I'm just going to let you know that I'm still around, and I'm going to help you out. And I see that a lot of times with kids that pass over, because parents want to know how about the siblings. Can you ask so and so? Can you ask Kevin to look after his siblings? And I'm like, he's already looking after him. He'll come through and he'll say, oh yeah, do me a favor, Mom, punch my brother, because, and she'll start to laugh. She goes, yeah, they always used to do that. Why did they do that? I said, because it's a brother thing. You know what I mean? And he'll mention something about his sister, and bring through some validation, and to let them know that he's still around. He will definitely be with them, all through their adulthood. And so the siblings they'll find a way to interact with their brothers and sisters on this side. So they keep an eye on them. I mean, they're busy doing other things on the other side. That's another thing people want to learn, know about. But they have the ability to be on call 24/7. So if you need something, they can come and do what they can to show some support. Like anything else with adults, if we are depressed or anxious or out of sorts, it's more difficult for them to come through. And that's why we try to tell people, listen, take a walk in nature, do some meditation, listen to some music, cook, go to garden, whatever you want, but it will take you out of your own mind for a little while, and then the kids or your partners or husband, wives can come through much more easy, you know. And then there's always the dreams. Always ask to talk to them before you go to sleep, and they'll try to come through in their dreams. A lot of times you'll get a visualization and actually touch and things like that. So they're always trying to get in touch with us.
Yeah.
Us, we got so much stuff going on, you know what I mean? It's like we got like 15 pots on the stove, and it's like we're juggling stuff, and they're always like, Mom, calm down, I can't come through. It's like, really,
Well,
you know?
when there's too much going on in your life, it's like a radio station that's it's set in the middle of 3 or 4 different things,
Right.
and it's all buzz.
It's all buzz, right? You got to tune it in, and you got to calm down and tune it in. And one of the things in the book that I wanted to put in there was, you know, about self-care and how to help the individual person that lost a child or any loved one. There are certain things that we can do, and one of them is laughter, to share laughter with other people, to help other people. If you reach out and if you've lost a child, to help someone else that might have lost a child, some understanding and stuff like that, that can bring you peace. Nature is a natural cleanser. You get out in nature, and you can be homebound and still be in nature. You can look out the window and look at a bird and listen to the bird, okay? You get out into nature, it's a wonderful cleansing, because nature is brass tacks. It is what it is.
Yeah.
Doesn't fool around. What you see, what you feel is what you get. And that brings us down to who we are without playing all the head games and stuff. It is what it is. And that's why, you know, you go for a walk in nature, or it's snowing, or perhaps you're at the beach, the sound of the water. It's just an excellent way for healing, self-healing. So that's very important. Music is very important because it changes the vibration we're on. So, I mean, you can't really be anxious and fearful and crazy if you have one of your favorite songs on, because your mind really won't allow it. So that's another tool that people can use. Pets are very important. Some people, you know, they rely on their pets. I think pets are like little angels. They're there, they give constant love. And so it's important to utilize different things, whatever you know, whatever you feel comfortable and drawn to. You know, it might be doing what I call active meditation, which is like gardening, you know, or something like that. It's like some people are like, oh, I can't sit there and just like, you know, not think about anything. I can't meditate. I'm like, listen, do active meditation. Go for a run.
Yeah.
Do gardening. You know what I mean? Paint. When I learned how to paint, I would start, you know, I would be painting, and I put the Red Sox game on, and like, you know, be the first inning, and then all of a sudden, it's like next thing I realize it's the 7th inning. I'm like, where'd the last 2 hours go? It's because I just got lost in it. And what happens, I shut off the monkey brain, the creativity came through, chemicals reacted, which are really good, you know, important things like when you laugh, it releases a lot of good chemicals. So it's a way of self-healing. So some people are like, oh, I don't like dogs, I don't like to paint. Well, then go for a walk, do the gardening, do something else. Pick something, a hobby or whatever you like, that relaxes and just takes you out of your own head.
So I noticed in the table of contents, I didn't get the chance to look at the back, but there's a chapter on resources. Is that resources as far as like the different heals you can go to? Toward the end, the last section, I think after that, the bottom there.
Resources are just, these are some of the other books I had written
Oh, okay.
on signs.
Okay.
So I've written some books, Always Connected for Veterans, my Hello Anyone Home book.
Okay.
And I Got Your Message. And those teach particularly about different signs, how to get them, why you might not get a sign, what is the background historical of some of these signs. There are group signs, and there's a reason why more than one person gets a sign at one time, because it magnifies that sign over a group of people. Some are one-to-one, and like I said, and some are group. And like I said, there's a reason for that. Because sometimes someone in that group might not necessarily believe in a sign, but the other people in the group like, oh my God, I got that sign, I saw that too.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden the person will be like, wait a minute, maybe I'm not going crazy. These 3 other people
So the
saw the
same
same thing, and it's like, wait a minute, yeah, I did see it. So they can start to realize, well, maybe I can get signs too.
Yeah.
So that's why they'll do the groups. And we also talk about the the feathers, the coins, all the different things
Stuff.
and what they're working on now. Now they're getting into the electronics, and they will continue to come up with new ways to get through to us, depending on what's.
I had one lady, the toys would go on in the room. She kept the room exactly the same after the little
Sure.
girl died. And the toys would go off at like 3 o'clock in the morning.
I met a lady at a symposium that I did 2 years ago. Her mother came through to her on one of those echoes. What is it? Like a
Alexa.
Oh,
something.
Alexa,
Yeah.
yeah. 2 o'clock in the morning, the thing goes off. A lot of people get the cell phones, they get the call from the parents or something,
Yeah.
or a child, maybe a teenager passed. Phone hasn't been charged for 6 months. You know what I mean? It doesn't even have a connection. And the phone goes off with the number, the child's number on it, or the spouse's number on it. So they have a way of manipulating electricity and stuff. They're really good at that. So some of the other books go through like all those particular signs and how they work and what happens when someone passes over, and they decide if someone's going to get a sign. Because sometimes they're not going to allow a sign to come through if they think it's going to cause discomfort or anxiety or stress. They'll back off. They'll say, "Yeah, we'll try later on. We're not going to come now because it might affect this lady's sanity or something, so we'll step back." So there's a reason for everything. So I try to get all that stuff through.
Yeah.
So that when I'm asking questions on the other side, I'm always asking questions because I want to get as much information as I can. Sometimes they'll tell me, sometimes they won't.
Yep.
If they do tell me, it's going in a book. You know what I mean? So you guys can figure it out, because what we're getting here is we're getting little snippets. And there's still a lot of space with certain questions. But the more we can get and piece together, the more we can start to see a bigger picture and how certain things happen for certain reasons on different levels.
And most times signs people are real excited about.
They're the simplest form to let people know. Over 90 million Americans, through a Pew study, have said that they have felt like they've gotten a sign from one of their loved ones. So you're not going crazy. If other people don't believe it, that's okay. Keep it to yourself.
Yeah.
And
But most people that'll come to a medium will accept a sign.
yeah, well, yeah. If you're going to a meeting, obviously. Although I had a lady come to a meeting, came to me at a charity I did, and all the stuff I brought. She goes, "Yeah, that's my mother. That's my mother. You came through this stuff. My mother." She goes, "But I don't understand what's going on." I'm like, "What do you mean? You said it's your mother." "Yeah, but I don't understand. My mother's dead." And I'm like, "Have you ever had a reading with a medium?" "No." She didn't realize what I did.
Oh, I gotcha.
So she goes, "No, I just saw a sign that said, fundraiser." And I'm like, okay, let me explain this to you.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Right.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
So, but a lot of people understand the science now because of the TV shows, and they know about mediumship
Yeah.
and things
A little
like
more
that.
mainstream now.
Right, than it was 40 years ago.
Yeah.
So for the last 15, 20 years, a lot more people are open to it. But a lot of times people still won't talk about it unless it's very close-knit family.
I, for
or
years, said to people I had a dream. That was like my favorite byline, and I tell some of the ones that are from very strict religious families and
Yeah.
stuff like that, just tell them you had a dream, if I got a message for them or something like that, because it still puts that seed that can start the
Yes.
healing taking place.
I've had people come up to me and say, "Listen, I believe in signs and stuff like that, but I'm not allowed to believe because of my religion."
You've had that
So
happen a few
they're
times.
having that conflict within themselves. They know it's a sign, but they're not allowed to believe it. So that's one of the reasons too to have these books out there, because people can take what they want and then leave the rest. Because these books are written for people at different levels. And I don't want to people say, "Oh, throw everything out." Just say, take what you want. If that makes sense to you, great. If it doesn't, that's fine too. Like the veterans book, some of that book is written for actually veterans in the future and future conflicts. So, you have to take bits and pieces, whatever resonates with you. That's what it's there for. So, because it had to be written for a wide range of people, different religions, different cultures, different levels of awareness and understanding. So it had to be simple, so that the average person could read it, like me. So I'm like, if I can't understand it, I can't write it.
Well,
So,
you're not the average person if you're medium as well, too.
listen,
You never know.
when it comes to stuff, I'm like, I have to be able to understand it, meaning
Of course, yeah.
because we can always talk over people's heads, and if you do that, no one learns. And I don't like it when it happens to me because it's not necessary. unless we're talking about quantum physics, which I had to write a chapter about in one of the books, and then I was like, oh my God, I had cluster headaches for what was it, about 30 days after that.
Oh, wow.
The editor came back to me and said, Joe, can you like dumb it down a little bit? So I did, sent it back, and they're like, oh no, Joe, can you do it more? And I'm like, you don't understand, this topic cannot be dumbed down anymore.
Too much,
it's like,
yeah.
you want to get two cans together and put a string together? You know what I mean? It's like, I can't do it. I'm like, so she's like, oh, okay, we'll just leave it in the book. And but when I write these books, I ask my guides right off the bat, it has to be able to be an easy read so that people can go in there before they go to bed, or if they're driving, listening on a tape or something, or if they're, have a few minutes and they want to flip through it and read some of the science stories the kids give. They have to understand it and make it really easy going. But the science stories, to me, are just like,
Fabulous.
without a doubt, it just nails it home 100%. The kids are around, the kids are all right, like the Who said. It is just, you can't make these stories up.
No.
So, and there's 50 stories in there, and they make me smile.
Yeah.
They make me smile.
I went to a family member's house, and they were worried about the little boy, because he was talking to somebody in the playroom all the time. And come to find out, she had lost a baby, a miscarriage type of thing, and it was a little girl. And the little girl, just because it didn't choose to be on, and choose to be in the body, it did choose to hang out with her brother.
Sure.
And the
I've seen
little
that with
girl was
twins.
hanging out. And I got to tell you, I can imagine with twins it must be extraordinary.
Yeah, the miscarriage.
But I found both parents had their own separate healing, just knowing that the little girl was still around them.
Sure. Yeah, sometimes it only takes sometimes just one or two little things so people are like, oh my God, she's safe. I know she's with her parents, she's around me, and that's all they need. And we don't have to shove the whole thing down their throat. It's just one or two
She was
things.
teaching the brother stuff that was way beyond or anything that he had heard. They were wondering where he was getting it from, and she was teaching him.
It's all good. It's fun. It really is. And so.
Right, so we're almost at the end of the show. As you can see with the credits. So if someone wants to buy this book, Always Connected, do they go through your website or through
They can
Amazon?
go to my website, joehiggins.com, and they can go on Amazon and look it up, and all my other books will come on. All my books are on my website, and some other things I have on there. So if anyone wants to email me, ask me a question, I'm always available. Okay. And we'll continue learning, all of us,
Yes.
and asking questions and bouncing things off each other to try to figure out what something means. Like we're going to talk about some stuff and get to some answers. So we can get them and share them with other people.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Beautiful.
What I like about this is your title, Always Connected. That's, to me, that's what these crazy, weird times are all about. For everybody to reach out to everyone else.
Yeah, to have that connection.
Yeah, we are all connected.
And spirit,
and share the joy
and spirit,
and the love and not the hate.
and spirit, and living beings. It's time to connect everything.
It's time to realize, people, that we are connected. So start sharing the love, and that's the bottom line.
Perfect.
The bottom line.
Is there any one thing you would like to share with everyone, like kind of like a short synopsis, or one thing that they can take away with?
I would have to say that it is a comprehensive book. It has a lot of things in there, and I think you get insights to other people's suffering and what they're going through that you might not have realized. Okay, and because there's some sections in there on how to talk to people that have lost children, and as a parent, or let's say a loved one that lost a child, how to deal with colleagues, neighbors, and things like that. So it works both ways.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
there's some stuff in there the kids teach.
that sometimes you have an event that the brother or sister is grieving and the parents aren't able to help them
That's very important. That's
because
one of the
they're
things in the book.
grieving.
Well, a sibling might have to take care of the fact that they're grieving for the sibling, and also take care of the parent. So, that's covered in the book too, how they might try to isolate, and you want to make sure they don't isolate. But kids are kids bounce back really good. A lot of times they have a good system with their friends, and you'll see that after someone passes in an accident.